Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. I hope you've had a great week since I last podcasted. Our laptop was able to be fixed, and for very cheap, because we have a friend that kind of knows his way around computers, and he did tell us it was on its way out. But I know that so many people loved the quality of it being on the phone that I decided to ask my husband if I could use his phone again this weekend for podcasting. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, the quality will be super great, but if you're watching on iTunes, because I have to pay for hosting, or I pay for hosting for Libsyn to get the podcast onto iTunes, I have to have it condensed down to a certain size, so it might not be that much of a difference on iTunes. But yeah, so we've had a good week since I last talked. I got to go and do something super fun this weekend with a friend. My friend Elisa drove me to the N Ewe Festival in Bernie, and we were there with friends Dina and Betty and Shanita and Tania, and we all went there together, and we saw some other friends. And so the festival, N Ewe Festival, is a fiber festival in Bernie, Texas, and it runs Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in November, kind of mid to late November. I think the weekend varies from year to year, but I hadn't been able to go to this festival in a very long time, 3 or 4 years, I think 3. And so it was really fun to get to go to this year, and especially fun to get to go with friends. So on to finished objects. You see what I finished? You can't see it, it's invisible. Okay, so I finished in 4 days, the testnet shawl that I showed you last weekend. I can't show it because it's a secret, and until it gets published, it's not going to be published like a normal pattern on Ravelry. It's published as a part of something really awesome somewhere else. And so I can't show it until that's all up and out there in that form. I can't say anything else, but I finished it in 4 days. This still blows my mind. I feel like I somehow magically stopped space and time, because I thought, like, normally that kind of thing would take me about a month, but that would be with knitting on other things. And I thought if I was monogamous on it that I could finish it in a week. I finished it in 4 days. And this shawl, I can't really describe much of it to you, but it was a big, not hugely giant, but a big, good-sized lace shawl. And I showed you the top part of it last week because that was just garter, but I can't show you the lace part. But the only thing I can say about it is that it's charming. Like, I think that is a word that really describes this shawl pattern. And my friend who I was test knitting for is the designer Susanna IC, and she has great patterns out there. If you love lace knitting with beads, you should definitely go check her out. And I talked last week about wanting to use one of the Loopy You baby cakes, or two or three of them, for the lace parts. And I didn't end up using any of the purple set that I showed you because it wasn't the right, of those 6, I didn't have the right color of purple to go with the colors of purple in the garter stitch part of the shawl. So I picked a completely different color, and I absolutely love it. And I think that the color kind of scheme also helps to make it very charming. So I'm excited to show it to you whenever I can. I actually finished it Tuesday night, maybe even like Wednesday morning at 1 or 2 a.m. I don't remember what time I went to sleep at Tuesday night. All a blur, but I was knitting on my shawl, and I finished it. And I don't know how I did it that fast, but I feel super excited that I did, and I have no excuse not to be able to finish anything else, right? So I have some tea today with me because it's been a little cooler than normal here. It's kind of cooled down a little bit. It's not yet to like the average temperatures that we normally have in November. It's still kind of back in October. The temperatures would be back in October, but it's cool enough for some tea and a shawl. And this is my Ketch Harbor shawl, and it's almost like a scarf. It's so big. And I'm drinking some David's tea. I have the maple sugar, and I'm drinking it out of my Bronte mug because I felt very Bronte today. And the tea is still really hot. But so let me show you what else I did work on, since I can't show you my amazing feat of knitting of 4 days knitted shawl. But here in a bird legs bag, I have the little wee envelope that I am knitting for Aubrey. And I got to see pictures of her little boy, and he is so handsome. I figured it out. I will put in my project notes for anyone else who wants to knit this. I will put the notes of how I figured it out, because like I said, but last week I was having a lot of problems with the stuff, and her blog did help. So here is the top part, and those little arms, and then the little envelope part. And now I am just knitting down the body. And I just have a few inches to go, and then some garter band like on here. And then I have to find some adorable, cute buttons that go with this. I'm thinking maybe little whales or sailboats or something nautical, because the yarn reminds me of a nautical theme, but you put buttons right here. And I hope to show it next week with the buttons in it. But the body of it is doing something interesting, and it's out of 3 Irish girls, their sport sock. And the body is kind of showing up dark on the front and light on the back, and I have a feeling that it will do a giant spiral pull around it, so that should be fun. But yeah, I'm hoping to finish that up tonight, because it's just straight knitting until I get to the garter stitch band. And then I worked on Lady M's socks, and this is in a bag that a sweet friend made for me. And I love it because you have the fall leaves on the outside, but you also have a different type of fall leaves on the inside. So here are Lady M's socks. And this is out of some Sheep Dreamery. That's what the ball looks like. And last week when I showed these, I was just to this tiny little part on the foot, right there. And so I got a lot done, considering that I knit on the shawl, and I only knit on this at all when I was out. So like when my kids were at swim lessons, or when I was out at the festival, and out at lunch, I was knitting on this. But yeah, I've finished, turned the heel, and I've started up the cuff, and I have a little bit less than an inch till I start the ribbing. And I did a fish lips kiss heel on it, but I don't know if other people do this. I think I'm the only one that I know of. But I do, most people just do the fish lips kiss heel as it is. I do a riverbed gusset by Cat Bordy, I believe. I do the riverbed gusset on the bottom to create a little bit of a gusset to kind of give wider part to the fish lips kiss heel, so in case, you know, somebody has a higher arch or something like that, that they can fit it on their foot easily. And this is in the Pop Rocks colorway, and I think that I'll have this sock done probably tomorrow and be casting on for the second one. And then the last thing is a new cast on, because I was looking over on Ravelry every year on my page of my description of myself. I always put my goals for the year, and I had my goals for 2016, and I was looking over them and I was thinking, okay, I haven't met some of these. Is there time in the end of the year to meet them? And I think there is mostly. But one of my big goals, and I have this in the Ravelry group for the podcast, was we have like a thread going on where we can talk about using up our scraps and stuff like that. And I'll draw for another winner from that thread next week. But so I really was like, I did it really strong at the beginning of the year, but I need to use up some more of my scraps. And I plan to, a lot of people that I have their address for here in the States, I would love to send packages overseas to friends, and I might pick a couple, but it's just so expensive to send minis overseas. But I was gonna send some minis to friends, kind of get rid of some of them that way. And then I thought, okay, I have all these, I thought I had a ton, but I actually don't. Worsted weight scraps. And so I have been wanting for a while to make the 10 stitch blanket, and I believe it's by Frank Knits. But so I went and gathered all of my worsted weight superwash, 100% superwash merino worsted weight scraps, and I put them in this Christmas bucket kind of thing. I got given this part of a Christmas gift years ago, and it's kind of big, and it's not completely filled with worsted weight scraps like I thought it would be, but I started the blanket, and I do have like 5 or 6 scraps in here, and these are mostly leftovers from hats because a hat does not take an entire skein of worsted weight, and I had that much left plus this. But so I started the blanket, and this is all I have so far. I just started it last night. I was sitting downstairs in one of our chairs and the kids were running around and I was so cold, but I said, oh, I wish I had a knitted blanket down here. I'd had a quilt over me, but I didn't. I really would like to have a knitted blanket. So I started this worsted weight, and it just starts here. And this is a free pattern on Ravelry, the 10 stitch blanket. So it starts here, and then it's worked all the way around here, and it continues to build itself into almost rectangles, squares as it goes around. And it just can go as big as you want it, and it's easy to join in different scraps at different times. I'm sure you could do it all out of one yarn too if you wished, but it's just been great. And at first the pattern seemed like it wasn't going to be intuitive, but once I knit a little bit of the turn, once I've done this one part of the turn, I now understand, and I can do it without looking at the pattern while I'm just sitting in the chair at night watching my kids. So yeah, this is the first scrap, and I'll just keep going with it. I think the next one that I'm going to use is going to be this pink and gray one. I think those will go nicely. So that is my 10 stitch blanket, and I probably won't show that every week because it's just going to be a work in progress till I feel that it's big enough. I'm not going to go buy yarn for it. I am just going to, whenever I have a superwash merino 100% worsted weight and variegated, I want it to be variegated so it'll be kind of fun colors, scrap left, I will just add it on, and if I run out then I'll just wait till I get a next scrap. And so that my worsted weight scraps will not be sitting around, they will always be able to go into that blanket. So I think that will work perfectly. And then it's funny because it's maple sugar tea, but I don't really taste maple, I just taste fruit. I'm not sure if I like this one. I'm a huge fan of maple, but I don't really taste the maple. But anyways, so, oh my gosh, do you know what I just forgot to do? I forgot to bring down the bobbin of my plied hand spun. I plied it last night and today so that I could show it to you today, and I forgot it. I knew I was forgetting something, but it's a beautiful autumnal fiber, and it was 100% Falkland, and it was from Hello Yarn, and it plied up beautifully, and it was still just going to be on the bobbin, so I'll console myself with the fact that you wouldn't have been able to see it in its full glory anyways, because it would have been just on the bobbin. But I will have it next week all bathed up and ready to show you, so it's going to be gorgeous, and I'm so excited. I've never knit with Falkland, and this was my first time spinning it, and I am really curious to see how many yards I get out of it, because I am kind of on a quest to have over 400 yards in one of my skeins of hand spun, and it hasn't happened in a while. But yeah, so that is all of the spinning that I can't show. I can't believe I forgot that. But so on to group news before I get to enabling and book stuff. I have finally opened a thread for the Sparkle Cal. I'm sorry that took so long. I don't even know. I kept thinking to do it, and then something would come up, you know, and my kids would need me, or something would be cooking or dyeing yarn or some random thing, and I would forget to actually go and do it. So that is actually up there now. And I think that that's going to go till the end of December. So we'll just have that be there. And then I have a thread up right now for a giveaway, for the Kid in You giveaway. And here's the irony in this. I was having so much fun with my friends that I completely forgot to get something for the giveaway. Yeah. We were almost back to where she was dropping me off by my car, and I was like, oh no, I forgot to get something for the giveaway. But luckily, I have had stuff that I have purchased in the past that I was like, I'm gonna save this for a future giveaway. And those are things that I got, but I was like, I'm going to save this. And so the awesome thing is that both of these things, I believe, have vended at Kid N Ewe in the past or have been part of somebody else's booth or something like that. I believe they have actually been people that have had their wares there. So this is going to be the package for the giveaway. We have an awesome Suburban Stitcher bag and a skein of Heavenly Fibers, and they kind of match. That's why I picked these out of the thing. But that is what they look like. And this is actually a really cool blend of superwash merino, bamboo, and nylon. So it would be great for socks if you live for when it's warmer in your climate. So yeah, and I think they go really well together. Kind of, you have the pinks and the greens and just the yellows and stuff from the bag kind of match the yarn. So yay, serendipity. But yeah, that is the current giveaway going in the group, and it will run for another week or two. I will just tell you, I won't draw, it'll at least have 2 more. I won't draw for it next week. That's what I'll say. But yeah, so on to enabling. I had a wonderful surprise come in the mail this week, and I didn't ask her if I could, well, I haven't, okay, I need to write her a personal thank you note. I'm gonna do that before I even post the podcast, but it just came yesterday, and it's from Rachel, who she won I had where you could win a skein of custom hand-dyed yarn from me, and she had won one of the 2 prizes for that, and she wanted to send me something as a thank you, I guess. I didn't even know this was coming, but she had my address, and so she sent me this with this lovely note that said that she had tried sock knitting and she had discovered that it wasn't for her, and she had sent me all of this as a thank you for the custom skein, which was so sweet of her. And I can't believe it because it's so much, but it's awesome because this is the perfect yarn for my husband and socks for my kids, because my husband wears through his socks. I tried to knit him socks out of 100% merino once, and he just wore holes in them, even though they were knit at an insanely tight gauge for me. So this is perfect sock yarn for him, and he'll love these colors. So there's this one, and I don't know how I can get all of these out, but they're these 2, Patton's Croy, great guy color. I just throw yarn everywhere. And then some black, which he will love, and I will probably do a pattern on these to kind of spice it up. And then some wonderful sock yarn for my daughter, these purples. And she put tea in there too, and then some more purples for my daughter for sock yarn. So thank you so much, Rachel. This is awesome, and I am going to so enjoy making socks for my family with that. And I'm sorry you didn't like socks. I know she loves making shawls, so you know, there's plenty of different stuff for everybody out there to knit, so that's awesome that I now have her sock yarn that she didn't want. Yeah, thank you for that wonderful surprise in my week. And then it was the Kid N Ewe Fiber Festival, like I was saying, and I went with a plan. I knew that this was the last fiber event of the year, and I knew that as I looked through my stash, I didn't really need yarn, except for one thing that I looked for but I didn't find. I was looking for a fingering weight kind of speckle dyed, and I could dye my own yarn, and I might do that because I should knit with my own yarn. And I wanted a speckle weight yarn for the Be Kind shawl by Vera Valimaki, because as I was saying earlier, I kind of always do a theme for every year. And 2014, when I had started the podcast, a little bit before that, my theme was use up your 15 oldest skeins in 2015. So in 2014, I announced that, and then that was the theme for 2015, was use up your 15 oldest skeins. And then this year, the theme for 2016 has been use up your scraps. But next year, what I'm planning, and I guess it's close enough to 2017, that I can tell you I'm planning to do knit your designers. So knit from those designers that you either love or you've always wanted to knit from, or you have a whole bunch of their patterns in your queue. And so I picked 12 designers that I've either wanted to knit for, have their stuff in my favorites, or have, you know, some patterns that have been gifted to me from them. And I'm gonna pick a different designer each month and knit, probably exclusively, unless I go crazy and decide that I can't do it, their patterns. And so the first month of January is Vera Valimaki, and I've already picked out what of her patterns I am knitting. And I have 5 of them that I'm going to be knitting throughout the whole month. And some of them are small and some of them are bigger, and I'm excited because it'll be fun to kind of delve into a designer really deeply for that month and kind of get to know their pattern aesthetic and how they write their patterns. And I think that will be just really interesting to see all the differences between designers, and it'll be fun. I like doing random things for the year. But anyways, that was a long time to tell you about why I was looking for some fingering weight yarn. But I didn't find any, so I knew I didn't need any other yarn. But I did need fiber because I participate in Spin the Bin. I shouldn't even say I unofficially participate in Spin the Bin. It's a group on Ravelry called Completely Pointless and Arbitrary Spinners or something like that. And every year they have a Spin the Bin challenge where you pick out 12 braids of fiber from your stash and you promise to spin those during the year. So essentially one a month. You can do more than in 1 month or whatever, however you want to stack it up. But in order to do the Spin the Bin, you have to have 12 braids of fiber. And I didn't have 12 braids of fiber in my stash. What some of you are probably like, what? I have like 500, but I had 5 braids of fiber in my stash. And so I needed 7. And I got those at the Kit N Ewe. Oh, and I did get one yarn. Well, it's not really yarn. I'll show it to you. But okay, so of these 7, I actually only purchased 5 of them because 2 people were super sweet and gifted me fiber. And the great thing I love about getting fiber instead of yarn at a festival is that fiber is so much cheaper than yarn. It's about half the price or even less than yarn. So I got these for a super great price. And I'll show you one of the ones that was gifted to me first. This was gifted to me by my friend Amanda, who is Lone Star Arts. And this is her Woodberry colorway, and it is, let's see, a merino. So you can see, it's kind of muted colors, it's very pretty. And then the next one that was gifted to me was by Brazen Stitchery, and this is very kind of her because I had done a giveaway of her yarn and I had bought it and used it for the giveaway, and she was like, oh, I would have given you that skein of yarn to give away, but I wanted to buy it. I know that she spent effort making it, and I like to help, you know, pay people for what they did because I know that dyeing yarn takes effort. So I had bought the skein for giveaway. So she said, next time you're in my shop, I want you to pick something out. And so I felt bad. I don't like picking stuff out, and Amanda had like put that in my bag and she was like, take it. I don't want to take it home. I've had the fiber for forever because people aren't buying fiber right now. And so this one, I tried to pick one of the cheapest things I could in the shop. And this is her fiber, which is merino bamboo nylon, and it's Cadbury eggs for breakfast, which I have a friend who her favorite candy is Cadbury eggs, and I will buy her some and like store them and give them to her birthday. But yeah, that is Cadbury eggs for breakfast by Brazen Stitchery. And I love how the bamboo leaves traces of white that when you spin it up will leave a very muted effect from the fiber. And then the next thing of fiber that I got, this is so soft. I almost got, they had this, oh, the softest thing you've ever felt in your entire life. Camel silk blend. Yes, camel silk. And it was in a champagne color. And I was touching it to back to myself, bring myself back to the memory of touching this fiber. I'm like, oh. But I was touching it, I was like, I need a sweater in this. I need like a giant oversized turtleneck that I can just cozy up in, and the color would have been perfect for me. And I was like, oh, I don't want to spend that much, because I was trying to get super cheap fiber all day. And I went in, I got way under my budget, which was awesome because the fiber was so cheap. So this was Blue Mule Farm, and this is in her merino tussa silk, and the colorway is driftwood. I don't know if you can see that. Gorgeous grays and purples and kind of this golden color. This almost looks like the fiber I just plied today. I don't know if I saw this and it reminded me of that, but yeah, oh, this is so soft. So that is almost all the fiber I got. 4 more. Okay, so I wish that that it was like feel-o-vision so you could feel some of these fibers. So this is a woolly Wonka fiber, and this is called Fairies, and it's going to be spun up into a worsted weight to knit my daughter a hat, because it's been a while since she's had a hand-spun hat. But yeah, it's these gorgeous blues with pops of pink and white, so she's gonna love this. That's that one. I'm trying to see where the camera is on the phone because I'm not used to this. And then I got this yarn company or fiber company had super great prices on their fiber, and this is Ashland Bay Merino and Tussa Silk, and the color is Mackenzie. And I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that, but it's like Ashland Bay and Mackenzie. And then there is the fiber. Look at that. It is gorgeous. I can't get my little arms, like on the Meet the Robinsons. I have short arms, will not reach far enough to the camera to show you this up close, but that's what it looks like. Hopefully you can see it. And it is so incredibly soft. Oh my gosh. And then I got this Shetland Rainbow, and I'm really excited to spin this and do a gradient shawl. And it has these colors of, you can see that, kind of a natural to a fawn brown to like a rich chocolate brown to like a super deep brown, or I don't know, like a medium brown to a super deep chocolate brown, but like milk chocolate to dark chocolate. But yeah, it's all Shetland, and it's, well, it calls it white, fawn, morit, and brown. So this is going to be a fun spin, and I didn't take it out of the bag and feel it to see if it's soft, but I'm assuming it's okay. And then the last fiber I got, okay, I'm actually going to show it to you after one thing. So I was not going to get any yarn, but I kind of have been on this wanting another sock blank kick in my head, because I had seen Maria Ninja Chickens had dyed up these gorgeous sock blanks, and I tried to get one and I couldn't get the one I wanted. I was too slow. And so I just been like thinking about sock blanks, and I saw somebody posted on the hashtag Kid You that they had sock blanks, and it just happened to be Brazen Stitchery, and she gave me her friend's discount on this. So I got one of her sock blanks. I think her daughter had dyed these up or something, but it's purple with polka dots and little sheep, and it says, see, I think it's gonna be gorgeous, that purple with those golden pops. And it says Kid You and Llamas Too, which is the name of the festival. So I had to get that. That was the only yarn purchase. And then the last thing that I got, because I was so under budget, because all the fiber was so much cheaper than yarn. And I don't, some people ask if, oh, is it cheaper to like spin your own yarn all the time? I don't know if that's economically cheaper, because you do have to have a spindle or a wheel, and it is a lot slower than just buying yarn. But I personally love hand spinning, or, you know, spinning on my wheel. and find it very meditative. But the last thing I got, we're shopping, and I saw this. I saw the brand first. I was like, oh, I've always wanted one of those. And then I saw the colors and I was like, oh, those colors are wonderful. And then I saw the name and it just kept getting like, oh my gosh. And I've been wanting this for almost 2 years. I think, yeah, it'll be 2 years in December when I got my wheel. But I have been wanting one of these for so long. And, you know, I either wouldn't like the colors, or since I'd been buying yarn at the Feather Festival, I couldn't go over my budget and get this. And so since I didn't buy anything but that one yarn thing, I had so much left in my budget that I was able to get this. And I actually walked away. I kind of said, if it's meant to be, I'm going to walk through all the festival. If it's meant to be, I will come back and it will still be there. And if it's not, then I will be very sad. But hopefully it'll still be there and then I can get it. And it was. So I got 3 feet of sheep. Oh my gosh, I just think this is the funnest concept. So here you go. 3 feet of sheep. And this, oh, look at these colors. I don't know if you can see them. Super long, but so this is it's from Frabjous Fibers. It's 3 feet of sheep, 8 ounces of hand-dyed BFL and sparkle. It's called Winter Sparkle, which fall and winter are my times that I love it, and I love the cooler weather and stuff like that. So limited edition, and it says the Winter Sparkle Collection is a limited edition seasonal palette of colors reminiscent of a snowy landscape, dyed up on our BFL Sparkle blend for a hint of glittering sun on the snow. Add a little twinkle to the dark days and nights of the cooler months. It's just like poetic for my yarn, or for my fiber. And oh, it's so pretty. So you know what I'm gonna do with this? Can you guess this, if you're a spinner? I am going to do hand spun self-striping socks. Yay! Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this color, each color, there are 12 of them. I'm going to take this color and I'm going to break it up into 4 of my pencil roving strips. And then I'm going to do that with each of them. And then I'm going to spin the first fourth, then of this color, then the fourth of that, and the fourth of that, all the way down. And then I'm gonna go back and start over and spin the second fourth all the way down onto one bobbin. So that will be 1 skein of yarn. And then I'm gonna complete the same process on a second bobbin. And then I'm going to chain plight each bobbin. So at the end, essentially, I will have 2 skeins of sock yarn. And I don't even care what weight of sock yarn it turns out to be, but I will have 2 skeins of yarn that will be for each sock. So I can just knit toe up till they run out, and it will go through the 12 colors twice. How exciting is that? I'm so glad that they had this and it was in the color that was gorgeous and that nobody else bought it while I was tempting fate. But yeah, so I now have exactly 12 braids of fiber for my Spin the Bin challenge for 2017. So I am set, and I'm very excited about that because self-striping hand spun socks. It's gonna be exciting. I might try to do that in January. I don't know. It depends how busy January is, but I think those would be perfect since it's the winter collection. But that is everything yarn and fiber related I think that I have. I am going to be casting on probably soon because one of my other goals that I found on my page was that I had wanted to knit up my queue from Ravelry, and I kind of pared down my queue at the beginning of the year to these essential ones, and I haven't knit up all of those, so I might go and try to like cast on one thing a week and add that to the melee of craziness. But I've been knitting down my whips, so I think adding 1 new one a week probably wouldn't be terrible, especially if they were smaller, which some of them might be sweaters on the queue, so we'll have to see. That is all for the yarny stuff though. And then for the book this week, it has been a while since I have reviewed a nonfiction, and I loved this book so much and found it so interesting that I've been talking about it with every single person that has spoken to me in the last 3 or 4 weeks since I finished it. If I have been at lunch with friends or out at the Fiber Festival, or my husband who's like, please stop talking. But I just found this so fascinating. And so the book is called The Sociopath Next Door by Martha Stout. And it's right there. And so this book it was amazing. And you can see it says right on the cover, 1 in 25 ordinary Americans secretly has no conscience and can do anything at all without feeling guilty. I had no idea that sociopaths were so prevalent in just the general population. 1 in 25 is a lot. And this book just really helps me kind of see some things like internet bullies, internet trolls. Like if you have had people anonymously say mean things on the internet or stuff like that, because it allows this thing of just anonymously putting that out there. She talks about a lot of sociopaths love that because they can bring people down and they don't even care about emotions at all. Like they don't care about making somebody else sad. For them, it's just winning. Like if they make the other person sad, they're winning. So she talks about a guy who would steal these stamps. He didn't even want them. He stole these stamps and like would go in and create chaos in this thing. And he would go to jail. And then he got back out, he would go and do the exact same thing over and over again because he just got this rush out of causing this destruction. And she talked about this case with this woman who didn't even have her degree, but was like the head in this psychology hospital. And she had just gotten that way because she had manipulated her way up to the top and she was manipulating other people and all this different stuff. And then there was a case of a guy who kind of found this older woman who had never been married and who was wealthy and higher in her career. And he was a little bit younger than her and he started to pursue her. And then she found out when they got together and he was married, they were married and everything. She thought he was this great guy. Then they got married. Turns out that he never wanted to have a job. He just wanted to lay by her pool and not do anything. Even when they had a kid together, he didn't even want to hold the kid, talk to the kid. He just wanted to swim in the pool and lounge out all day. And it talks about that as another aspect of like sociopaths is if they can like manipulate their way in to being able to be lazy and not have to do anything. And then she had a really good section here about sociopath leaders, like dictators, just heinous dictators from the past, and how they're so charismatic that people can just follow them. And people don't even know that, or maybe they do. Probably some people have a hint that this person has no emotions, but you can think of probably ones from the past that come right to mind. I have like 3 or 4 that are just popping up into my head right now. And then I just had no idea that they were so prevalent. But another thing that's really awesome about this book is she gives you tools to deal with them. And she talks about as kids, if we see someone being really horrible to someone else, kids will often be like little kids, 6 or 7-year-olds will be like, hey, stop that, that's mean. But as adults, we often don't speak out. We're not like, hey, leave that person alone, or hey, that's not cool what you're doing. And she says, speak out. If you're in the office place and somebody's manipulating something or trying to be sneaky and underhanded to get their way, call them out on it in front of other people so that you have witnesses, and that can often kind of take the situation down to where they won't do it. And it also said, if you're in a friendship where you think the person might be a sociopath, just kind of extricate yourself from that in a way. You can't even really, there's no fixing that. They don't have a conscience. You can't give them a conscience. And the book was just wonderful in how it dealt with all of that. And it kind of really made you feel like things that you could look for and things that you could know. And I don't know how many sociopaths I have known personally, but 1 in 25 I'm sure I've known quite a few. And it just, I can think of a couple examples, just a couple, in school or in work where they might have been, and it's very interesting. And I think that the tips that she had in this book would have been extremely beneficial to me at the time. So if you're interested in psychology, how the brain works, finding out more about sociopaths, or how to deal with them if you have somebody in your life, in your workplace, and something like that that you think might be, she has some very good tips for that. And just 1 in 25 people have no emotions. They could just see something horrible happen to somebody and not even cry, not even want to help, just not even feel anything. And it's scary. And she talks in the book about don't lose heart, because the other 24 of us, 24 out of the 25, do care and are awesome, not awesome, but are human beings that do care and do have a conscience. And just one person speaking up, then other people will speak up, and it kind of has this chain effect for good, which I love that idea of, if you see something bad happening in the office, or if you're out on the street and you see something bad happening, speak up and say, hey, I've had to do that in our neighborhood a couple times. We had some kids picking on one kid, and I was driving and I kind of rolled down my window and I was like, guys need to leave him alone. And the kid was like, thank you, and he ran off. But you just speak up, and I think that's really awesome, and it kind of felt good to read that and know. But anyways, I'm going to review that because I really like my nonfiction books. I only read a few a year, but I enjoy them. And so this is The Sociopath Next Door by Martha Stout. And that is all I have this week. And I hope you guys have a great week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.